Good afternoon, and welcome to our group's final project for MCHE 3920's Manufacturing Design Studio. My name is Trevor Houghton, and featured in this video are Wasim LJ, Nolan Nguyen, Sam Ivey, and Mitch Maxwell with RJ Banton as editor-in-chief. The goal of our design was to fabricate a way to hold a unique spare tire on this trailer while having minimal effects on trailer space, turn radius, and ground clearance. We considered these parameters and our available materials to decide to use 6 square 3x16-inch tubes oriented in such a way that secure the tire in all directions. We held the tire in a location that took into account each of our clearance criteria and took measurements. We then began cutting the steel as needed, which is being shown currently.
Alright, so when I'm cleaning for welds, I'm going to be cleaning all contact points. So the first things first, if you notice this clean spot over here, this is from work I did about a week or two ago, is all welder is doing is completing a circuit. So there's the actual gun that I'm going to be holding in my hand that's running power through it, and there's going to be a ground cable that you'll see in the video that is clamped onto here. And if that ground isn't clean, or whatever you're welding to is not clean, you're not going to get a good weld and you're not going to get a good complete circuit. So when I'm welding these parts together, I want to clean everything that's going to come into contact with a weld patch because I don't want porosity to form in there. So if I start trying to weld onto rust, I'm going to get a lot of metal impurities and deformation in there inside the weld, and that's not going to do us any good. So when I'm doing that, for example, this piece right here is a flat face. I'm going to be doing a flush mount straight to the side of this trailer frame. So I'm going to be cleaning all 4 faces. I'll take the grinder and cut about a 1/2 inch back, just lightly take the wheel and rub it across here. It'll take all the rust off down to shiny metal. I'll do that for all 4 corners, also removing these burrs that you can see here so that the weld is nice. And then on the trailer, I'll do the negative outline of that. So I'll take this and run the grinder all the way around, not cutting the metal, just cleaning the end off it. It'll cut like slightly, but not a big deal. And I'll be taking all the paint and rust off this trailer where these two mount together. So I will do that for both of these flush face mounting points. And then when I start adding pieces that go vertically upward on here, I'll be cleaning the face of this metal once again where they mount. So everything we weld to will be cleaned before we actually start welding it. Three passes, the top and the sides. You tag it first and then go from So the first thing we've done here in this process is to tack weld the piece of metal on there. So I want to brace this thing in 2 directions. So that's why there's one tack weld that's right on the top face and one that's right on the bottom. And what I'm doing when I tack weld this, I'm not just going to hold it in the center and just push into it, because this metal is pretty thick. I think this trailer frame is like 1/4 or maybe even 5/16 inch thick steel, and this is 3/16 inch thick steel. So to make sure I get good tie-in on the tack weld, I'm going to move the welder up and down on the member. So I'm going to just go a little bit, maybe a 1/4 inch in both directions, just to try and get this puddle to span the gap there. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom here, because when you're welding on these pieces of metal, sometimes when they're heating up and expanding, they'll try and move. So that's why I tack weld multiple directions so that it can't move out of plane. And even sometimes then when you're welding, if I were to take this bead and run, if it gets hot enough, you'll hear one of the tacks at the bottom crack. But at that point, it's not that big of a deal because you've got it tied in where you want it to be. After that, it's as simple as just doing a weaving C pattern. And when I'm doing downright welds, I'll use gravity to my advantage. So I'll run the welder like this going down, and I'll be running a C pattern there so that as the filler material is going in, it can work along with the gun with gravity. Pulling the weld puddle up is a lot harder.